All right, so now I have my reference image for my shapes. Now I have my reference image for my shapes tucked into this corner in Preview, a different program than Photoshop. And whenever you just double click on a JPEG or a TIFF or a PNG file, or really any image file that's not a PSD file, if you just double click it, the default will be to open it up in Preview. Now Preview is actually a nice little program. We're going to be using it a little bit in our first assignment. It has some image editing tools that are helpful, and just really, it's kind of Photoshop light in a lot of ways. But we'll use it here because it takes up very little memory, and it just holds it open in the corner while we're working in Photoshop. So I've resized my Photoshop window to give me space to see that. And so now I can make those kind of critical decisions in finishing it up. What else does it need? And because shape is so key to this, I have to pick what those finishing shapes are going to be without just trying to reproduce every single shape. So if I squint, that can really help me reduce the composition. And squinting and looking at the two of them, I see there's this kind of gray arc all around this shape that really helps move the eye through it. So I'm going to add that in. So I build a new shape layer, and this time I'm going to pick the color before I move it around. And I'm going to change from only web colors, and I'm going to select the background native color, and then I'm going to move the color selector down and to the left a little bit, both to darken it and to desaturate it. Until when I squint, it feels like the optical gray of this mass. Then, of course, to warp it, I hit Command-T, I right-click within it, and I choose the warp option, and I start rolling it out like dough, pushing its edge. Curving it around with these wireframes. Getting the shapes I want. All right. Then I might think I want some overlapping shapes that are slightly lighter. And so if I use the Move tool, and I have under the options for the Move tool the Auto Select Layer, then I can actually pick shapes I've already made, like this one, duplicate it with Command-J, move that layer up over the top of existing layers. Right now it's a copy because I did Command-J. And I can move it over, I can rotate it, I can warp it. So this is a way of getting kind of my own custom shapes. To build with. And then I can duplicate those and do more. And I might even change the color a little bit. I might push it up and to the left. Let it brighten a little bit. Actually, looks like it maybe needs a little bit more yellow in it too. There we go. All right. Maybe that's too much yellow. So you can keep playing with these. And the great thing about these shape tools, of course, is you can keep modifying until it's exactly what you want. And Command-T, you can also flip them into mirror images. You have lots and lots of options. If I want to connect it through, I can do that. Duplicate, let's do something else with it, maybe over here. stretch it. Remember, just the free transform tools of scaling and rotating are incredibly helpful as well. So now I've got a lot of that kind of chaotic movement going across the top. I think I want something that connects here that's a little bit lighter. I'd steal a different shape, duplicate that, bring it up. This time, instead of dragging and dropping the layer, I'm just using Command right bracket to move that duplicate layer up and through. And I can turn on my guideline and kind of see where I want it. But that's why I have this reference image, because that can get distracting at some point. I'll round this out a little bit. Look at that funky shape. Yeah, that's feeling right. And I can steal the color directly from somewhere else, or I can give it a slightly different color, which might be fun. Then duplicate that. And we're just working with a lot more complexity now. We've kind of designed our own types of shapes that we think are useful. And they're still all vector shapes for our purposes. And then I might decide that this gray is a little bit too dark. It's more subtle, so I'll shift it up a little bit. And then I decide, oh, I need some more of these kind of dark shapes. So I'm stealing from myself, duplicating, warping, placing, changing. And doing it more just by kind of feeling it out visually and by tracing. No matter how powerful the computers are, all finished, high-end digital imaging is finished off, by the eye of the creator, whether it's a new special effect in Star Wars or whether it's retouching the Sports Illustrated swimsuit model cover. You can't go on automatic. As the artist, you're always the final quality check on anything you put out there. And with the warp tool, I've made some really complicated shapes here. Sometimes more complicated than is helpful. So I could go back to just the regular shape tools as well, instead of always just copying from myself. Needing to simplify the shape a little bit. And then maybe I don't want all those gradient effects on it. I don't think I do. Then I can duplicate that. And just help it link into this a little bit. Yeah, it's coming together. See where else that shape might be helpful. Distort it, rotate it. Maybe play with its color slightly. And I can push things off the frame. That's totally fine. Let's give it a slightly different color. So I select the color, then I'm using the color selector here just to do a slight variation on it. Kind of step into the different tones. And very helpful at this stage to have that move tool be on auto select, so you can easily move through the different layers and make final adjustments to them. Yeah, that helps. All right. So getting good at the warp tool is going to make your life as a digital designer a whole lot better. Because as most artists know, it's easier to adapt something that you can see than to get something perfect from nothing. And so the warp tool can be so useful for almost anything you do, just in helping you kind of push things a little bit further and seeing different options. For instance, near the end of the class, we'll do digital painting, and you'll have the option to do a caricature. And so let's say you do a drawing of a person, and you really like that drawing of the person, and you scan it into the computer, and you think it's fantastic, but then if you just make a duplicate of it and you play with warping it a little bit, you know, you can stretch your drawing one way or the other just a little bit. You'll get to try out different versions that might be much, much more helpful. You know, bring out the character a lot more. So those are the kinds of things that we're practicing here, even though we're just doing this very technical shape composition. One more kind of light colored shape. Duplicate, bring down. Now, if this was a paying job and we had a lot more time, we could go in and we could just make sure every curve is beautiful. You know, every variation, every subtlety. I'm liking the pink and the blues and the slight turquoise.
So when we submit this, we submit both the JPEG we made
And the reference image. Yep, exactly. So I need something in between.